You can't control the wind, but you can choose how to move with it.
You're suffering because you want the world to work your way and it won't. Have you noticed that the more you insist life should be different, the more it seems to mock you? You plan, hope, strive, but something always slips through. People don't behave as they should. Things don't go as expected. And then comes the frustration, the anger, the emptiness. It's like trying to hold the wind in your hands. But Spinoza already knew this, centuries before the first modern anxiety attack. He said that human suffering is born from the clash between reality and our expectations, and that as long as we insist on shaping the world to our desires, we will be at war with nature itself. The problem is, we've been conditioned to believe we're in control. You can do anything. You just have to want it. But that's a lie sold in self-help books. Nature owes you nothing. The universe doesn't know your schedule, and the truth, most of the things that hurt you are simply out of your control. Fighting this only increases the pain. But what if the peace you're searching for doesn't come from controlling the chaos, but from understanding why you still believe you need to? Spinoza said, reality is neutral. It's us who interpret it as the enemy. The real question isn't, how do I change the world? It's, why do I expect it to change? But what if the problem goes even deeper? What if you don't even know why you want what you want? Maybe you've never been as free as you think. And that's where Spinoza's second philosophical strike begins. Get ready, because what he said about free will shake everything you believe about your choices. You're not choosing anything. You're just obeying forces you don't even notice. How many times have you said, I chose this? It was my decision. I'm like this because I want to be. But are you sure? Spinoza saw something. Most people are too afraid to admit. Most of our desires are just a chain reaction. We feel, we want, we act, but have no idea what's behind it. We think we're free just because we felt like it. But desire without awareness is just reflex. He wrote, men think themselves free because they are conscious of their actions, but ignorant of the causes by which they are determined. Translation, you only think you made a decision, but in reality you were dragged there by traumas, by desires, by fears, by an endless sequence of causes you don't even understand. This idea hurts. It hurts because it shatters the illusion of control, because it forces us to admit that maybe most of our life has been lived on autopilot. Important decisions, relationships, routines. What if all of it was just the echo of previous causes? What if you've never stopped to clearly observe what really moves you? Freedom, according to Spinoza, isn't doing whatever you want. It's understanding why you want what you want. It's cutting the invisible thread that pulls you without you seeing. It's snapping out of the trance, watching your desire before you act, choosing with awareness, not impulse. You are not free while you're a slave to your passions. But what if I told you the problem isn't desire itself? It's where you're looking for joy. What comes next, Spinoza would call the subtlest trap of human unhappiness, and almost everyone falls into it. You'll spend your whole life searching for something that was never lost. How many times have you thought, when I have that, I'll be okay? When I'm loved, promoted, admired, then I'll be happy. But when you get there, the emptiness is still there. The anxiety is still there. That uncomfortable question still whispers, is this it? Spinoza saw this with brutal clarity. Happiness that depends on the external is as fragile as thin glass, because everything outside can disappear, and then you shatter with it. He said that true joy doesn't come from what you have, but from how you understand your own existence. It's not a fleeting emotion. It's a state of clarity, of seeing the world as it is, and seeing yourself with the same honesty, but that clarity is terrifying, because it strips away all your fantasies. It shows you that maybe the success you've been chasing was just a mask for your fear of being worthless, that the relationship you idealized was just an escape from facing yourself. Real happiness doesn't bring euphoria, it brings silence, it brings lightness, it brings peace, and that it was strange for someone who spent their life chasing distractions. Spinoza invites you to a different path, Don't accumulate, don't conquer, don't pretend, observe, understand. Go deeper. Clarity is the light that dissolves suffering. And happiness isn't the reward for walking this path. It is the path, but there's still a trap worse than chasing things outside yourself. It's when you make someone else responsible for your joy. And Spinoza was blunt. Love that depends is just another form of prison. In the next teaching, he dismantles the most dangerous romantic illusion of all. If you love someone because you need them, you don't love them. You're chained. Most people don't love, they cling. They create expectations, projections, fears. They say, I love you. But what they really mean is, complete me, save me, don't leave me. Spinoza saw this with a liberating coldness. When love is born from need, it's already poisoned. For him, love wasn't about losing yourself in another. It was about finding yourself with another and still remaining whole. True love comes from someone who is already complete. And because of that, it doesn't demand, it doesn't pressure, it doesn't suffocate. But this is almost impossible in the modern world. We were taught that to love is to need, that jealousy is a sign of care, that the fear of loss is proof that you feel something real. That's a lie. Love with fear is an emotional contract. It's possession. It's anxiety dressed up as romance. And when the other person doesn't act the way you imagined, you suffer. But not because you were rejected. You suffer because you bet your peace on someone who was never obligated to complete you. Want to truly love? Then heal before seeking someone. Be free enough not to need, and whole enough to share. Spinoza said, whoever loves from reason loves steadily, because that love is born from freedom, not from need. But what holds us back the most from loving this way? Fear. Fear of loss, fear of being left behind, fear of not being enough. In the next teaching, Spinoza reveals the force that governs nearly all our decisions and how it's been used for centuries to keep you exactly where you are. As long as you're afraid, someone will have power over you. Think about it. How many of your choices were born from fear? Fear of disappointing, of losing, of failing, of not being loved, of being alone, of dying. Spinoza saw fear as the greatest enemy of freedom, because fear paralyzes, it silences, it makes you accept what you shouldn't, and believe in what makes no sense, just because it feels safer. He said, where there is fear, there is manipulation. Religions, governments, corporations, relationships, and they all know this. Whoever controls your fear, controls you. And the worst part is that often you're the one imprisoning yourself. But living without fear doesn't mean being reckless. It means not being a slave to the illusion of control. Most of the threats that paralyze you don't even exist. They're monsters, created by your mind, fed by years of conditioning. You keep defending yourself from pain that might never come. And in doing so, you don't really live. Fear infects everything. Love, work, spirituality. It pretends to be protection, but it's just a comfortable cell. You get used to it and call that maturity. But what if you dared to face the fear instead of running from it? Spinoza suggests knowledge is the antidote. The more you understand, the less you fear. And the less you fear, the more you choose with awareness, not with panic. But only knowledge born of reason can dissolve fear. It's not enough to understand the world outside. You need to understand yourself. And in the next teaching, Spinoza reveals what it really means to be free, to act with clarity, not on impulse. You think you're free, but you react like a cornered animal every time you feel threatened. Have you ever regretted something you did in the heat of the moment? Ever exploded, vanished, sabotaged yourself? Yeah, that wasn't freedom. That was instinct. That was programming. Spinoza said, those ruled by emotions are not free. They are hostages, and the only way out of that invisible prison is reason. But not the cold kind of reason that suppresses emotions, the kind that understands them before they take control. He said, the free man is the one who lives by reason. It's not the one who represses what they feel. It's the one who feels but chooses how to act, the one who sees the impulse rising and breathes before moving. The modern world teaches you the opposite. It pushes you to react, to buy, to explode, to judge. You're constantly encouraged to live on autopilot, and the more immediacy, the less clarity. You believe that following your desires is freedom, but often it's just slavery disguised as pleasure. Reason isn't the end of emotion. It's the beginning of maturity. It's the point where you stop being a puppet of the moment and start becoming the author of your own story. Want real freedom? Then pause, reflect, observe, not to punish yourself, but to understand yourself. Life is not what happens to you. It's what you do with what happens. Spinoza believed that only those who act with clarity act with power. Those dragged by their feelings don't live. They react. But there is a place even deeper than reason, a state where even the fear of death loses its grip. Spinoza called it inner peace, and it has nothing to do with isolation or escape. In the next teaching, you'll discover where that peace truly lives, and why almost no one manages to live there. You're not anxious because life is chaotic. You're anxious because you believe it should obey your will. Most people are at war with reality. They keep trying to adjust the world to match their mental map. This shouldn't have happened. That person shouldn't have treated me like that. My life should already be somewhere else, but Spinoza offers us a shock of clarity. You are not the center of the universe. You are part of it, just like the tree, the river, time, and the wind. And peace only arises when you understand this, not as a pretty idea, but as a lived truth. He said, "The free man thinks less of death and more of life." And to live, for him, was to accept the course of nature, not as resignation, but as a union with something greater than the ego. The problem is that we were conditioned to believe that happiness comes from control, that peace comes from achievements, and that spirituality is about disconnecting from the world. But Spinoza proposes the opposite. True peace is accepting impermanence. It's looking at chaos and understanding that it's not against you, it simply is. Nature doesn't make mistakes. It just doesn't consult your wishes. Want to stop suffering? Stop demanding that life follow your script. Start seeing beauty in what you don't control. In falling leaves, in the end of a cycle, in what arrives and then goes. You're not the owner of the flow, you are part of it. And when you truly get this, anxiety doesn't vanish, but it loses its throne. But there's something even deeper. A final key Spinoza left for those who want to break free from inner prison once and for all. The idea that full freedom depends on nothing external. In the final teaching, you'll discover a kind of freedom that even death cannot touch. Everything you believe you need is exactly what keeps you trapped. From an early age, you were taught that freedom means being able to choose where to live, what to buy, who to be with. But deep down, all these choices are just fences, painted gold. Because if your peace depends on external things and on your salary, affection, validation, then your freedom is fragile. And someone can always take it from you. Spinoza saw freedom as a state of being, not a condition. It doesn't come after everything works out. It's born the moment you stop looking outside for what only exists within. He said, "Blessedness is not the reward of virtue, it is virtue itself." In other words, to live with clarity, to live with understanding, is already happiness. You don't wait for life to become perfect to breathe in peace. You learn to breathe, even in the middle of imperfection. But that takes courage, because letting go of the idea that once I have this, I'll be happy, is like losing an emotional crutch. It's standing naked before life, with no escape plans, no magical expectations. Most people aren't ready for that. They prefer to keep negotiating with reality. Give me what I want, and I promise I'll be grateful. But Spinoza invites a different stance, that of someone who is already free, even without guarantees. What if you stopped trying to be free after and started now? Freedom is not a destination. It's a constant choice to live without depending. To stop turning life into a list of demands, and to make it a space of lucid acceptance. In the end, Spinoza isn't inviting you to change the world, nor to defeat suffering. He invites you to something greater, to fully inhabit the now with total clarity, to free yourself from illusions and maybe finally feel what's always been there, a deep, indestructible silence.